Civilization is thinner than you think. I consider myself a civilized man. I say please and thank you. I return shopping carts. I use cutlery even when nobody is watching. So naturally, I assume civilization lives somewhere deep inside me. William Golding was less optimistic. In Lord of the Flies, a group of boys becomes stranded on an island. At first, they organize themselves. They make rules, they hold meetings, they choose a leader, they keep a fire burning so they can be rescued. Very sensible, for a while. Then fear enters. Status becomes more important. Rules become irritating. Another leader offers something more attractive: strength, certainty, enemies, and permission to stop behaving. And the thin layer of civilization begins to crack. Golding's message is often reduced to, human beings are naturally savage. But the more disturbing idea is this: perhaps we behave well not only because we are good, but because our surroundings make goodness easier. There are laws, there are consequences, there are colleagues watching, there is a reputation to protect. Remove those things, or weaken them, and character suddenly has to do all the work, and character is often less muscular than we imagined. You do not need an island to see this. You see it in an office where one person becomes the group's favorite target. It begins with one small joke, then another. Someone notices that the joke is becoming cruel, but says nothing. Someone else laughs, because everyone else is laughing. Soon the group has silently decided that this person deserves less respect. Nobody planned it. That is the problem. Civilization rarely collapses because everyone wakes up and decides to become evil. It disappears in smaller steps. First, a rule becomes inconvenient. Then kindness looks weak. Then honesty becomes disloyal. Then one person becomes the problem. And finally, people say we had no choice. Bad behavior almost never introduces itself as bad behavior. It calls itself realism, loyalty, self-defense, just telling it like it is. Fear makes this process faster. In Lord of the Flies, the boys become obsessed with a beast. Nobody fully understands what it is, but the fear becomes more powerful than the facts. That still happens. A vague threat appears. A rumor spreads. A group becomes anxious. Once fear takes control, evidence becomes less important than certainty. The person who says, "Let us slow down and think," suddenly looks suspicious. The person who says, "I know exactly who is to blame," starts to look like a leader. Reason is rarely defeated by a better argument. It is often defeated by a more exciting emotion. And then there is the group itself. Alone, most people hesitate before doing something cruel. In a crowd, responsibility becomes diluted. I did not start it. I only shared it. I only repeated it. Everybody was doing it. The group gives each person a small piece of the action and almost none of the guilt. So what can we do? Probably nothing heroic. The first step is to notice the moment when the group gives us permission to behave worse. When you think everyone is doing it, or he probably deserves it, or maybe, I do not want to make things awkward. Ask yourself, would I say or do this if I were alone with this person? If the answer is no, then, well, the group may be speaking through you. The second step is to defend small rules before you need grand principles. Speak when the joke becomes cruel. Ask whether the rumor is true. Let someone finish speaking. Refuse to treat a person as a label. The idiot, the outsider, the problem colleague, one of those people. Labels make cruelty efficient. A name makes it harder. And, be careful with leaders who offer fear, certainty, and enemies, but no honest plan. Ask what is actually true. Ask what happens to people who disagree. Strong leadership protects rules. Dangerous leadership suspends them. Finally, act early. You do not need a speech. Sometimes one sentence is enough. I don't think this is fair. Do we actually know that? Let's not talk about her as if she isn't here. Civilization is rarely saved at the final dramatic moment. It is preserved earlier, in small moments, by ordinary people who refuse to become slightly worse just because everyone else has. Civilization is not something we own. It is something we practice, especially when anger, fear, or the group gives us permission to stop. Captain Help, smarter every day, in every way.